How you doing, YouTube? This is Gunnery Sergeant 67 bringing you another YouTube video. Today's YouTube video, we're going to be discussing is China and Russia positioning themselves to take down the US power grid, causing an SHTF scenario. Alright YouTube, let's get into it. Not too long ago, Chinese President Xi Jinping told President Joe Biden during their summit in San Francisco, specifically in December of 2023, that Beijing will reunify Taiwan with mainland China, but that the timing has not yet been decided. And then fast forward a few months, Admiral John Aquilino, head of the Indo-Pacific Command, testified during an Armed Forces Service Committee hearing on March 20th, 2024, that he believed China's military will be preparing to invade Taiwan by 2027, meeting a goal U.S. military officials believe China's President Xi Jinping set to reunify Taiwan with China's mainland with force if necessary. And then, just last week, FBI Director Christopher Wray on April 18, 2024, warned national security intelligence experts as well as students that risks the government of China poses to the U.S. national and economic security are upon us now, and that U.S. critical infrastructure is a prime target. The People's Republic of China, or PRC, has made it clear that it considers every sector that makes our society run as fair game in its bid to dominate on the world stage, and that its plan is to land low blows against civilian infrastructure to try to induce panic and break America's will to resist, he said in remarks at the Vanderbilt Summit on Modern Conflict and Emerging Threats in Nashville. The CCP also wants to prevent the United States from being able to get in the way of a potential future crisis between China and Taiwan by 2027, he said. Americans are already starting to feel the effects of this, he said, pointing to cyber intrusions and criminal activity as early deterrence efforts by the CCP. The fact is, the PRC's targeting of our critical infrastructures is both broad and unrelenting, he said. And he added, the immense size and expanding nature of the CCP's hacking program isn't just aimed at stealing America's intellectual property. It's using that mass, those numbers, to give itself the ability to physically wreak havoc on our critical infrastructure at a time of its choosing. He said, this risk isn't new, he said. CCP-sponsored cyber actors have pre-positioned themselves to potentially mount cyber offenses against American energy companies. And then a story came out not long after that about a group with possible ties to Kremlin military hackers infiltrated a Millshoe, Texas water facility in January of this year and caused a system malfunction that forced a water tank to overflow, which resulted in tens of thousands of gallons of water, marking a potential first-of-its-kind disruption that escalated concerns about the cyber posture of water treatment facilities in the United States. The hacking activity is linked to Sandworm, a hacking operation that is tied to Russia's military intelligence directorate. The breach of the water facility based in Millshoe near the Texas-New Mexico border was the first known case where Russian hackers targeted U.S. water facilities, making it the third nation to have breached U.S. water infrastructure in the past year, as Iran and China-linked collectives have already been tied to such incidents. All right, after all of that, what does that mean for America if this comes to pass? In July of 2025, R.J. Woosley, the former director of Central Intelligence and chairman Foundation for Defense of Democracies, testified before the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs. If a geomagnetic disturbance, or GMD, or an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, hit the U.S., what would be the outcome? Now, this would also account for cyber attacks that shut down the power grid or critical infrastructure as well. What he said was, it is briefly dealt with in the Commission report of 2008, and he's referring to the EMP Commission report, that there are essentially two estimates on how many people would die from hunger, from starvation, from lack of water, and from social disturbance. One estimate is that within a year or so, 2/3 of the United States population would die. The other estimate is that within a year or so, 90% of the population of the U.S. would die. We're talking about total devastation. We're not talking about just a regular catastrophe. All right, YouTube. So with all of that, we have people at the very top of our government and within these critical infrastructure companies, specifically water treatment, that are saying China and Russia have embedded themselves into these systems that run our critical infrastructure, or they can easily get into them. The incident in Millshoe, Texas, that we just talked about, where the hackers released tens of thousands of gallons of water onto a town, that's just one of many. Over the last couple of years, there's been half a dozen water treatment plants that have been hacked, and they've had to shut them down and manually operate them. How many more critical infrastructures has China and Russia embedded themselves in? The very tippy top of our government are saying that this is happening, that this is going on. So with that being said, it's showing that our federal government and our private sector that controls these critical infrastructures, they can't protect their assets or the critical infrastructure. They can't protect us. So with that being said, what am I doing to ensure me and my family aren't among the 90% of Americans that will die if a grid down scenario takes place? Me personally, I'm continuing to prepare. And along those lines, you want to make sure that you prepare as far as personal security. I live here in the United States, so my form of personal security is going to be firearms and ammunition. I'm pretty good to go with my firearms. I'm going to continue to go ahead and stockpile ammunition. I'm going to continue to go and train. I'm going to continue to learn how to repair my firearms if I get a mechanical issue with it. All of these things tie into maintaining the ability to provide your own personal security. What else am I doing? I'm still stockpiling food. Anybody that's watched my channel for a decent amount of time knows that I am a big proponent of stockpiling long-term food. In addition to that, I stockpile canned goods. I sit down there and buy my canned goods, and then I rotate them out. I also have quite a bit of long-term food storage, rice, beans, rolled oats, and I put them in Mylar bags. I put them in buckets, 5-gallon buckets, and I put oxygen absorbers in them. I've sealed them up, and in the right conditions, they should be good to go for 25 years. Water filtration and purification. What we just discussed right now, the compromising of water treatment facilities and water distribution facilities, should be a huge reason why you ensure that you stockpile your own water. Not just that, but make sure you get good containers. Make sure that you have forms of water filtration and water purification. Because without water, you're dead in 3 days. So make sure you stockpile the things that you need to go ahead and purify and filter your water. Also too, you want to make sure that you're putting the other things away as far as the whole prepper's sphere. Make sure your shelter is good. You have a bug out location. You've got hardening methods for your house if you have to bug in, and fine tuning your egress plans. You got to make sure you have first aid items on hand, because if all the critical infrastructure gets shut down, kind of like a fire sale incident from the movie Die Hard, That's a possibility too. Power generation. To me, power generation is a big thing. It is a force multiplier. Like what you have right in front of you. You got an ICE-Co JP42 12-volt refrigerator. This is invaluable. The grid goes down. Electricity doesn't come back up because it's been hacked, or there's an EMP or a geomagnetic disturbance like a Carrington event. You can go ahead and pull this out, pull all of your foods that are very sensitive to temperature and throw them in here. Just like with this EcoFlow River 2 Pro that's powering it, you can go ahead and do so much if you can generate your own power and not rely on some type of second and third party to provide that power for you. Physical fitness. I'm going to continue to improve on my physical fitness. Like I've said on this channel before, I'm a retired Marine. Since I've retired, I've kind of let up on my physical fitness. I still go to the gym. I still run and things like that, but I've gained a few pounds. But I'm going to continue to improve on it. I'm going to continue to work back to the shape I was in before I retired. And one of the most important things, one of the last things that I'm really going to be honing in on is intelligently creating human relationships that will improve my chances of survival. What I mean by that is I'm always looking out for like-minded individuals, that if SHTF happens, that I can have that bond with them, that I could probably have a symbiotic relationship with them to survive. Being a Marine, I have a lot of security information. I'm very good with firearms. I'm a good shot. I'm very mechanically inclined. Things of that nature. But I'm not something like a nurse or a doctor or a farmer or somebody that is very fluent with like a ham radio, things of that nature. So if I can form these relationships with farmers, with doctors, nurses, electromagnetic engineers, I'm just throwing that out there, but things that I am not well versed in and other people are, that are like-minded, that will aid me in getting to the other side if one of these events ever transpire, then I'm going to continue to do that. But of course I'm going to do that intelligently. At no time on any of these videos am I going to tell people what they need to do. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. And with all of this information coming out, as far as these hostile state actors that have embedded themselves in our critical infrastructure, all of the indicators are pointing to the fact that it's not a matter of if our critical infrastructure goes dark, it is a matter of when. The electricity, the water, public services, government services, all of these things will stop running if they fine-tune them and they initiate these attacks full force. So in order to not be part of that 90%, you need to make sure that you continue to prep. All right, YouTube, this video's gone on long enough. Please, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In the comments, let me know what you think about this. Do you think that China and Russia is positioning themselves to take down the US grid? If so, give me a prediction. Tell me what you think, when, how, when, where. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. And this is Gonna Restart in 67. I'm out.